this video, I wanted to talk about major pentatonic scale. Let's talk about what is a major pentatonic scale, why am I talking about it, how to use it, and how to learn it on the guitar. So that term pentatonic scale refers to 5-note scale. Now, if you know your major scale, you know that major scale has 7 notes, and pentatonic scale is only 5 of those. So if we were to number the names of a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, major pentatonic only has 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. If you're not familiar with major scale, feel free to watch my other video to help you navigate through this video. I'll go ahead and present C major pentatonic in this case, horizontally on the A string. I have the note C, note D, note E, note G, and note A. I could also think in numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And I think this is one of the happiest sounding scale that we have available in Western music. But I think it's a little bit more than that. And major pentatonic scale is an easy way to sound soulful and confident, especially on the guitar. Even if you don't want to bother with theory, let me show you how to make it sound musical in an easy way. Now on the guitar, if you're trying to map out a major pentatonic scale, the way I like to approach it is going from one anchor point. In this case, I'll map out a C major pentatonic scale going from A string, 3rd fret, and I'll find my next octave that's placed on the G string, 5th fret. That goes like this. Now if I have the same anchor point but I wanted to play it going towards my B string, that will go something like this. Those are 2 routes I could take on that particular position of the guitar, and I'll move my anchor point to my bass E string, my low E string, and then I'll start on E. Let me see if I could play up to the next octave placed on D string. It looks like this. And if I wanted to go same anchor point, but now end up in the G string, 5th fret, it will go something like this. And then the one more anchor point here, in this case D string, 10th fret, and then I'll head towards my B string to complete a set of the scale. You could have any of the strings as an anchor point, and a lot of it comes down to how you visualize the fretboard. The idea of scale is always see if you could find one set of the scale an octave at a time. In this case, it would be 5 notes at a time. If you wanted a bit more in-depth of how I like to segment the fretboard using a particular scale, go ahead and refer to my major scale video to help with that. Now this video, I wanted to discuss a little bit more than how to use a scale to map out the fretboard. Similar to many guitar players, I'm also a big fan of pentatonic scale. I use them all the time in my personal playing, when I improvise, when I play lead guitar, even rhythm guitar. There's a lot of places for them. And I view major pentatonic as the core language of country music, blues music, R&B music, pop music, and folk music. And a lot of the contemporary music involves the usage of major pentatonic. One of the arguments I can make for major pentatonic over major scale is that it's easier to use, especially in the context of improvising, because it often avoids the dissonant intervals, namely the 4th interval and 7th interval. And when I'm using major pentatonic to improvise, it blends really well with whatever the song I'm playing with, especially when you're just beginning to enter the practice of improvising. So let's talk about how to practice this scale. There's the obvious one where you could play linearly and vertically. So going from one octave to the next one. Essentially do that on any part of the guitar. When you're engaging in that practice, The idea is to slow it down, make sure you understand which notes are what, and then move on from there. Another way that you could practice this scale is use one string to work on your phrasing. So if I take B string, for example, I'm playing, those are my 5 notes, and I could try to slide in between the notes. And that helps with phrasing like as a singer would phrase. You could also experiment with hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that would go something like this. If you wanted a little bit more simplified version of that, you take whichever the 2 intervals that you have available and see if you could just play, going from one point to the next one. That could be an option. You could go from 2nd note to the 3rd note. What if I go from 5th note to the 6th note? I recommend experiment for yourself. Once you get comfortable with short and simple phrases, practice the art of call and response. I imagine my first phrase as a call. Follow-up phrase could be something different. And I could keep following up from there. And once you get a good hang of that, you could obviously try this over a backing track or make a loop for yourself and then just play over some chords. Now, oftentimes, it will sound very musical. Now, if you're unsure where to start with this, let me show you a starter phrase to get you started. The first example I'll show you is playing bluesy idea, where I take the root note. I'm gonna slide from my 2nd note into my 3rd note. Then I'll switch to my 5th note, play it up to 6th note, and back to the 5th note. And it sounds like this. If you've learned a blues shuffle, you've probably learned some version of that. Now here again, the idea is I'm imagining that as a route for me to work on my phrasing. I don't necessarily need to play that exact note. Here's an example. Now another trick you could experiment for yourself in the context of call and response. Let's say I play a 2-note phrase, going from root to the 2nd note back to the root. You could take the similar movement, but just play it on the adjacent string. And it usually creates a melodic contrast, and it feels like you're responding to whatever note you started with. So give that a try. And for those who are interested, I'll go ahead and include a PDF and a tablature of how I map out the C major pentatonic on the fretboard and some examples that I have discussed in this video. Hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next one.